Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for what you have been waiting for. What is One Last Adventure? This is the documentary basically outlining the creation and the trepidations and issues with the fifth and final season of Stranger Things. I have a three-person host review for this. I'm excited about it. We're going to unpack a lot, but I'm going to bring the first person up to talk about it, who is Busy Braun, Busy Braun Reaction. What's up, Busy?
What's up, man? Just to dive straight into it, we talked a lot about this, especially off camera, about our me, you, and Siren, about like our thoughts on the finale as a whole, and some being negative, some being very positive. Um, I was, a little nervous going into the documentary because I'm like, okay, how is it gonna make me feel? Or some questions gonna be answered? Realistically, I'm like, okay, I shouldn't like have to watch a documentary to have my feelings be or validated or to feel a certain way when it comes to the source media or like the main show, if you will. And I will say, watching the documentary, I am very glad I did. I enjoyed it. It was very emotional, but it at times did not make me feel better about the finale. And I know we're going to dive into that later on, but there were a lot of great things when it comes to just seeing how just passionate everyone involved with this was and just how much work went into it and just the thought process on just everything as a whole, especially with them being like, hey, like this is a make it or break it point. You don't do good on the finale, sometimes fans will write off the entire show, and that's extremely realistic. And that's being said with like Game of Thrones, for an example. Season 8 terrible. Everyone just talks about when you bring up the show, they're like, okay, it's not good because of the finale. I don't feel like that's the same case with this show. There were a few episodes that didn't land, but at the end of the day, I love the show. I'm getting around to being content with the finale. And again, just the pure passion behind this documentary. Just again, it did help. But them bringing up certain things about the abyss, them bringing up certain things about like just some creative choices with the demigorgons, just made me question a lot. Um, and I am really excited to hear all of you guys kind of talk about that. Because I think when we talked about this, Sam, I think I watched it at that point, and you didn't entirely finish it, so I didn't want to say too much. So like it was just really hard. I'm like, bro, you didn't get to the part where they openly said this, and you were like, what do you mean they openly said that? And I'm like, bro, mute me and leave me on the camera just so I can hear your thoughts when they bring up certain parts. I don't know how deep we're diving into this. Can I bring up the part that I'm specifically talking about, or are we going in piece
Yeah,
by piece?
yeah. Matter of fact, I'll give you the pitch for it because me and Siren just literally had a back and forth about it.
Oh,
Maybe what
I missed it.
40 minutes ago.
Damn.
Long end of it, they were talking about the fact, and truth be told, full disclosure for you guys, this was started in December of 2023. That's when they first started the table read. It had to actually finish their last scene in December 2024 in order for it to come out in 2025, albeit a whole bunch of different craziness with two different writer strikes and a lot of other things going on. They had to do that. Otherwise, we would not have gotten the show until probably December 2026, truth be told. But in the midst of them talking about the fact that they had not written the final episode until actually having to do it in real time. So one of the things they were kind of breaking down were, okay, how are we going to allow this finale to work? We know for a fact that now the Mind Flayer has become sentient. It is actually in physical form. You know for a fact where it's got to go, and we know for a fact that Elle has got to sacrifice herself ultimately. But one of them started having a conversation like, oh, well, you know what? Like, this is crazy, but there's no way possible that there can't be demigorgons. There's got to be demi-dolls, got to be demi-bats. Like, that's just crazy. That's literally what he says, verbatim. And then the other brother, Matt, says, oh, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And I'm not going to throw her out there, but one of the writers, she said, maybe, after the magazine thing and everything that happened in volume one, maybe they're demoed out. Maybe there's demo
Demo fatigue is
fatigue.
diabolical.
So that's what this is referring to. Go ahead, Busy.
So I will say the sequence that we got in Volume 1 is probably one of the greatest Demogorgon sequences in the entire show. So I can't fathom that anyone's gonna watch that sequence and be like, "Oh shit, I'm tired of this." Like I hope this is the last scene, even though you just delivered some blockbuster type action sequence, and then they end up, you know, just kind of pushing away from that a little bit. Even with the Max and Lucas scene in the hospital, like that shit had me at the edge of my seat. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I can't imagine that there was anyone like I haven't heard it at least, and I can understand it to a degree, it being a reasonable thought. Um, I mean, they've been introducing different monsters such as a demibats, who again we haven't seen much of since the whole Eddie situation. The demidogs, it's just it just seems very valid, and I think we tried to think of other scenarios that they could have done with the mind flayer, where it's like, oh, they wanted to create the physical version of him, so maybe they could have all came together and created just a flesh and body of the mind flayer. And it's like we're just trying to think of all these possible scenarios, but it's like to not have that answered at all is just it's beyond me. Like I don't understand it. Even if they just had a simple conclusion in the documentary where it's like, oh, like I don't know. I can't even think of anything. Like something stupid. I don't know. I would have probably settled for it, but I just couldn't 100% get behind that. And some of the explanations, I feel like I'm sure that they were there, maybe they were cut out, but I was really hoping the documentary would really help me at ease even more, and it didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the biggest thing about it, truth be told, is when it came to that, I had even, I heard what they said. And I was like, I got the grievances and I understand that this is huge, right? I don't understand even the budget and the constraints, but I remember the people that were talking about that was working on the sets and everything. They basically were like, hey, I don't even know how we can budget for this. I don't know if we can deliver this in time. And I don't know the logistics behind it, but we're going to make sure it works, right?
Hmm.
But this is what I will say. And they kind of brought it up, but lightly. It's kind of like, okay, if they do introduce these demigorgons, they would have functionally have had to change everything about that whole entire sequence. Because on top of the fact, one of them said, in that quote, one of the writers was like, oh, there's a huge freaking spider chasing them down. There's no way they wouldn't die from this. And then somebody kind of diverted and deflected, like, okay, but the kids, they definitely wanted to be involved and whatnot. But my perspective on it, and I think this is where the writing, they're trying to figure it out. If they would have pivoted and said, okay, constructively, maybe this won't work. Okay, what I'm gonna do is say we're gonna limit the amount of people that are gonna be in the abyss, and the other people are gonna be fighting maybe demogorgons that are trying to get back. Will is keeping them on the other side at bay, while 11 does this. They didn't have enough time to even constructively think about that. And I know that because even when they were talking about the structure of this creature, they were like, well, man, they wouldn't survive this. This maybe wouldn't work. So to your point, Busy, I think that the issue is off of time constraints. In my personal opinion, even this documentary explains all the things that we had questions about. It's just unfortunate that how they came to the answers were another pivot. One thing that we'll talk about later, and I can't wait for Siren to talk about it in a little bit, is the mid fight. there's a mid fight that's supposed to take place. And I know Siren is ready to millywop some folks about it. Can't wait to talk to her about it. But it's just we just know for a fact that there's probably different variants of this ending that they had to cut for time and for other reasons. And I think that logistically, we're not going to know the Netflix side of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to happen. But go ahead, Busy. What else were you want to talk about?
So, that was primarily my biggest, like, I guess, gripe about the whole situation. But I kind of I don't want to just leave it on some negativity, because at the end of the day, they had a lot of cool moments that just made me kind of reminisce about the series as a whole. Because at the end of the day, this documentary, which I thought was going to be more of like the making of Stranger Things 5, it really was just a buildup of the entire series from start to finish. And again, to see how much like blood, sweat, and tears went into this just like made me realize how much it deserved to be in the spotlight, how much it deserved to be the number one show on television for quite some time. And to see how they slowly made their way up to grabbing kind of like big name directors from was it Sean or Frank Darabont or just them working with people and getting praise from people that they looked up to and to learn more about the Duffer Brothers as a whole, you know, it it was just really interesting to hear it from a kind of like an artistic point of view, and to see kind of like the behind the scenes again from just everything. And that's one thing that I feel like it's really missing in like a lot of media nowadays, just to see how the behind the scenes and just to see like the mind that kind of gets into things. But yeah, I mean, I'm super super impressed with what they did. I mean, again, the music that they kind of threw into things, it was just everything here was it was fantastic. Doesn't change how I feel about the last few episodes, but again, I'm not writing this off. This isn't a Game of Thrones situation. I'm not crapping on the entire series because I didn't like a few episodes in the last season. I still have this show in my top shows, of course, of all time. I mean, they did a fantastic job, building up to everything in season 5. Did it stick to landing entirely? Probably not, but still, I still have a lot of love for this show, and this documentary just made me feel more of that, especially with just showing how they slowly rose to where they are now, to the again the movie level type quality that we did get in Volume 5. So I'm happy with what we got with this documentary for sure. Siren, you got anything you wanna put out there?
Yes.
How you feeling?
Middle
Did you like
bell?
it? Did you feel
Middle
like your
bell.
questions were answered or not?
Oh, so no. I felt like a lot of questions were left more so to the point of fatigue. Like everybody was tired.
Mhm.
And they all just kind of they needed to wrap it up. Like I will bring up the point that I mentioned before.
Mhm.
These aren't superhuman individuals. These are mortals, very much so. Even
Absolutely.
the magical ones are mortals. So
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people are gonna have that too. It's just the way that they chalked it up again to like the fatigue, and they I don't know. I feel like again it could have been handled better. It was cool to see the insights and just to kind of get our face into the writers' room, but at the end of the day, I didn't 100% make me feel better about anything that we got with the final episodes. But yeah, I mean, we got you and Sam, of course, are going to be diving into this further. Um, but for now, that's just kind of my quick thoughts on the finale, and I mean on the documentary specifically. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. But yeah, to continue where we were prior, sorry, now that you finished it, how do you feel about it?
so I wasn't super into it in the beginning. It seemed like a lot of B-roll, but I am a sucker for a good behind the scenes making of, and this was definitely a good behind the scenes making of. It had
Mhm.
a lot of the classic senses of like building camaraderie, stuff that you'd see in really, really old school sets. And the fact that this was so expansive
Mhm.
was wild. All of the foam builds, just all of the texture.
It was amazing
Oh,
to
it
see how
was
much
absolutely
work went into some of these
phenomenal.
sets were insane.
Let's see. The uh, the script writing, the fact that it came well after everything else was in motion was pretty cool. That takes a lot of good faith. That takes a lot of like being able to read each other's moves in an almost seamless sense. And the storyboarding being the only key point of contingent understanding of how something is supposed to go. Wild. I loved that part. Um, but before that, it seemed like a lot of just sort of building out thought processes. Like, a lot of it did sound like we didn't actually know how this was going to go, or how we felt about it, or we just kind of did what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you're the writer, go wild.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But also, at the end of the day, as it started to grow more and more to its crescendo,
mm-hmm.
It was truly noted and notable that this was, in fact, the end. Fans of Stranger Things, there is no secret 9th episode. Like,
and I mean, it was funny because I mean, after the whole conformity gate, we still had people thinking that there's going to be more after everything.
there's no
but
more. Not
this
a drop.
right here just made me feel it helped me, I guess, come to terms a little bit that, you know, it's done, it's over. Again, did it change the way I feel? Not entirely, but at the end of the day, I am glad we were able to watch it. I do want to give credit to, of course, Netflix as a whole when it comes to certain shows. Of course, the shows that they favor, if you will. It's clear you can tell which ones are the favorites due to like the budget that they give certain shows. Stranger Things being one of them, and then of course One Piece being another. The amount of money that they give some of these shows so they can allow the full artistic vision with some of the sets being just super practical and just it just makes it so much more fun, I guess, to watch when you know that everything here is just legit, it's real. There was a lot of work behind it, you know, again, blood, sweat, and tears going into it. And to see that with the final battle, again, with the being in the ribcage of the mind flayer, that was just insane to see how much work went behind it, and just the team putting in all this time with just like the texture of the flesh, and just making sure the lighting was right, and playing with the light fixtures to make it feel like you know they were moving and swaying. And again, although it didn't make me change my mind about, you know, like, oh my god, I love it now, it makes you appreciate just more of the artistic side of uh again of the show as a whole. And that's one thing I did appreciate a lot. Do you have anything else you want to say about the sets specifically? Because I feel like they really cooked when it came to that.
They did. They really did. I liked their use of blue screen. I did not necessarily expect that to be their go-to. I thought it was going to be more like of a pan, zoom, and shrink situation. You know, like how in some sets it's just about like maybe the size of a large living room.
Yep.
And then it's got green screen all the way in back, and you've got, you know, your morph suit on and all of that good stuff. But they really did the damn thing. It was phenomenal. I liked all of their choices, and it just makes me wish that every show could have so much love
that
and
free
attention
range.
and detail put into it.
Absolutely. And again, I know this whole thing wasn't specifically about just Stranger Things 5, but to see the build up into just, again, you were talking about like building camaraderie. God, I can't talk. Camaraderie. To see kind of where they started, and to see like just how close they were, and you know the emotions that they felt completely valid due to the fact that, again, this, even though it's only 5 seasons of a show, they milked the fuck out of this. I mean, at the end of the day, having 3 years between seasons at times, it's a lot, but at the end of the day, it's like these people were tight. So to have that 10 years just come to a wrap like that, obviously you're going to feel all of that, but it's just interesting to see like just the again, just the emotions everyone was feeling, not just the main cast, but we got people that work behind the scenes, like again, the artists, just everything. And again, I feel like this is one of those things that we don't get to see a lot of unless it's like a bigger production. And the behind the scenes stuff is always fun. So I feel like we should be getting a little more of this from just different shows, you know, because I mean, I just love to
Yes.
see how much heart and just how much love from these actual people are going into it, because it's always good to know that sometimes it's not just a paycheck. It's good to know that they actually appreciate the art that they're sharing. And when we see all these people working on sets the way that they were, when we see the actors reacting to not only the sets but just certain, whether it's the music in the background that they chose or whatever, it makes it so much more impactful as a viewer, and it's good to know that you know how into it these actors were, how into it the just everyone involved was. And I think there was a part in the documentary where they said like people that want to work here are people that truly want to work hard, truly want to put in like all this effort. Like it's not this isn't a set where we have people like that half-ass stuff. Like this is we go crazy. And to know that everyone there was there to make sure that they were working their ass off and to deliver the beautiful show that we got. Again, it just makes it so much more impactful, which is why I truly endorse getting more. I want more of these behind the scenes for just various shows, because it truly helps you like enjoy the art of the entire show that we ended up getting. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's not too much to talk about. I mean, I know we ended up talking a little bit about the abyss and talking about specifically the demigorgons and the lack of demigorgons. Did you end up sharing your thoughts on that? How do you feel about the lack of specific monsters in that final sequence?
Mm, we did broach a lot of very specific points, such as the mind flare dissolving matter
Yeah,
in order to create other forms. So even without them there, it could easily be attributed to the mind flare using them to build its meat
exactly.
suit.
Which I wish, if that was the explanation, I wish that was highlighted or shown in some type of way, because of that was one of the things that I did think of as well. I know we talked about I feel like we talked about it at one point, but no, yeah, I feel like they could have mentioned that or just thrown us some silly explanation. Like I didn't even really care about what the explanation was. I just felt like we needed one. Because of
Did,
like
but it felt like they were more so at a standstill of
what to do.
yes, because the
Yeah,
brothers could not quite come to an agreement on. And when you're each co-producers, it has to be an almost split
mutual.
down the middle type of
Absolutely.
decision.
Yeah. And
So
that's where it becomes a
leaving
little
it up to
tricky, I
the
guess.
air of interpretation, it makes things a lot easier for people.
And I guess that's fair, but I mean, like, you can only leave things up to interpretation, like, so many times. Again, like the whole thing with Elle, for an example, they left
That's
that
not
up to us,
interpretation. She's
and it's
dead.
like, just doing that nonstop. How do you feel? Do you think she's dead?
She's dead. Like
She's
she's
dead.
dead.
Okay.
Mike
Okay.
did
Yeah.
his
Yeah. 'Cause
part of being the storyteller.
I feel like there
None
was
of
way
those
too
things
many, like,
happened.
yeah. I mean, for Callie to still be alive during all that, I mean, I feel like, um, it's just one of those interesting things. Again, I feel like that's another situation where I would have loved to just have a explanation on it. Like, just let me know if she's dead or not. But again, I think everything points to the fact that she is. So there's no like. But we're gonna have people online just kind of discussing that back and forth till the end of time, which is gonna be
Yeah, and we're
interesting.
also going to have people being like, "No, there's really a secret episode
Oh
that's
yeah,
going to you watch, you
we're gonna get
see."
that a year from now, talking about how we're gonna get one for the anniversary or some shit.
Well, remember how I said that now that they're supposedly moving on to an animated spin-off that is going to leave room for people to do what people do and create their own iteration.
And that's for you said that's for what, like a fan made thing?
Yeah.
I
So
think I saw that, yeah. I mean, and I know
that's
we're
if
getting
they do
spin-offs in the
go for it,
future too.
though. Like,
You
remember,
said what?
that's if they do go for it, though. Remember, they have been kind of like insulted left and right.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
when something's not finalized and you insult the people who are making it,
Then yeah. Yeah, it's just all around. I mean, although a lot of my questions haven't been answered, or I may still feel not that great about the finale, it doesn't diminish the entire ride to that point. And the only reason why I'm trying to say that is because, again, we see how emotional, how passionate the entire crew was on this project, and it's like, I think the fact that they opened up the documentary with saying like, hey, like if we don't stick the landing, it's gonna ruin like the entirety of the show. People aren't gonna like feel a certain way, and they're like that shouldn't be the case, but that's unfortunately how it is. Um, I still love the hell out of this, and I don't even think the finale was necessarily terrible. It just didn't end the way that we wanted it to end at times, And again, there are a lot of plot holes, a lot of things that weren't answered. But personally, I'm still going to bed and sleeping fine. I'm not losing sleep over it, and I'm not wishing that there's another. I'm not praying for a secret episode. So
We don't need a secret episode.
I
Like,
know, absolutely.
you're praying for their deaths if you're praying for a secret episode.
Are
That's all
you
that's gonna happen.
Did this documentary again make you feel better about the finale or no?
Like I said, I didn't love the finale. Definitely didn't hate it. Did like it. I liked it because, as I keep broaching, these are mortals. Like, even the more OP ones are mortals. They can die. They can exhaust. Like, Elle needs to literally recharge her battery by eating sweets.
I do love that
Really
explanation.
cute throwback, but like,
it's just one of those things where it's like, although it was great to see everyone involved in that final fight, it's just it felt a little like forced and a little unrealistic because it's like all these kids, and I think in one of the one of the scenes in the documentary they mentioned like, oh yeah, the kids need to be there, but we'll give the older teens the guns and we'll let the younger ones just do whatever they're doing. And part of me, I'm just like, bro, like we're going into a spot where it should be like the home of everyone, the Demogorgons, Demi-Bats, and we're not going to give these kids guns. Yeah, I understand they're like 17, 18, but like they're going up against like aliens. I mean, it just feels as though they should like everyone there should be strapped. But again, what do I know?
Yeah, but it's also not the time for them to be learning how to handle a gun within that second.
Yeah, because then
like Mike picked it up and he still had no idea what to do, and it's a flare gun. It's one of the most.
He didn't even know it was a flare gun. Yeah, exactly.
Like, he didn't know. That just tells you, man should not be handling firepower like that. Like,
it just made it. I think just seeing all of these kids put in this situation really felt like a like it felt made it feel really campy. You know what I'm saying? I think Sam wants in on this. Let me see if I can add him in. What's up, big guy?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Yeah, nah. No comment. Now, I think you made a really good point, Busy. Specifically when they were talking about like who they were gonna have in the final moments, because that was when they mentioned the midway scene. That was when they mentioned a whole bunch of other things as well. And I think that if they had more time and they could have conceived it better, it would have probably worked itself out. But I just think that one of the big rules that they kind of put in place was, one, Elle is going to sacrifice herself. Two, they didn't want this to be overly dramatic for the sake of just killing all these people. And I kind of said that even in my review, is that these people have gone through so much. When you really go back through it and watch all the different things that they've had to do, the people they've had to kill, the things that they've had to endure, it's kind of like it kind of loses the whole impact of the show if you're killing them just for the sake of killing them. And I've kind of always been a big proponent of, if it makes sense from a written standpoint as opposed to dramatic standpoint, then okay. The only two people that I felt like could or should die in it was Elle and was Will. And it's kind of like the moment that Will was the person that discovered that Vecna, wasn't in complete control, I kind of felt like, oh, okay, that might be, Will may not have to perish kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But the whole mind flare thing of it all, I don't think that they fully unpacked the ramifications of what it means for them kids to be in it, as well as Will, because and they even said it, that's why it works so well, is that ending, I think they've always had exactly the exact ending. and it was beautifully done. I love seeing it in the documentary format. But it's kind of like, are these kids still dealing with remnants of the Mind Flayer? Are these kids and Will still going to have to deal with this? Is Max going to still have to deal with it? And I mean, I think back in the 80s and even certain movies like Inception, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's this what if, is it ever really gone? And I think even when they were talking about it, they said that, you know, this is what their crucible is now. That's one chapter, and the other kids have to deal with what happens next. And I think that from a storytelling standpoint, they've always done that for like 80s movies and movies coming up. So it makes sense. But I did really enjoy them unpacking a lot of the things in the documentary. I did like it.
No, that's completely valid, and I know you and Siren are gonna go deeper into your thoughts in a little bit, so I feel like this is a good kind of like segue or point to go into that. But guess my thoughts on the documentary to kind of like close it out. It just, again, I'm glad we got it. I understand when it comes to like making something that at this scale, it's difficult, you know, to please everyone, but at the same time, it's difficult to, I guess, come to an agreement on a lot of things. And as you mentioned, Siren, I mean, with two people not only just producing it together but directing it together, everything needs to come to a mutual understanding in order to proceed and for that vision to work. So sometimes I feel like they might have settled on certain things, and I wish they dove more into like more of their kind of disagreements on things when it came to, I guess, at that directing standpoint, because that makes it really interesting to see kind of like how they ended up resolving certain issues and how they ended up deciding to go a certain route. You know what I'm saying? So it's for me, it just I want more behind the scenes stuff like this. Not, of course, not just for the show, but just different things in general. Really helps you appreciate it, and I guess that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah.
All right, guys, I just got back. Busy and Siren, we're holding it down. Hopefully, you guys have been enjoying so far. I think one of the biggest things that they talked about was the idea behind like the be real, the behind the scenes. I used to love that. Like, honestly, I mean, if I go all the way back to like, I don't know, Rush Hour, any of Jackie Chan's older movies, he'd always have like what it would take for him to go through to make a product. And whether it be him wounded or whether it him be laughing, like I think some of the Rush Hour behind the scenes are some of the best in any movies. And I think that, you know, even back then when there was like a whole bunch of Blu-rays and DVDs, like you love those behind the scenes. And I always loved those. And I think that this show kind of merited it that. But I think the reason why people don't do it as much anymore is because when you watch, you know, the episode, at the end of the episode, especially on HBO, they would have like behind the scenes stuff afterwards, or even Showtime would do it. And because there's not a lot of physical media anymore, people don't see it as an incentive to do. But I do feel like I would have loved to see like a documentary of Breaking Bad. I would love to have seen like a documentary on like, you know, something like The Last of Us season 1. But yeah, I think that's actually a really good discourse to say. What was one of your favorite like behind the scenes like documentary things that are tied to like a TV show or a movie?
Are we talking about like specifically Stranger Things? Or are we talking about
just anything, any that you felt like
Jaws? Do you know why?
No.
Okay, so Bruce the Shark is technically a killer, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because, you know, old scruffy fisherman wasn't actually supposed to be bleeding, so the shark actually bit him. So that's
really?
That's his real blood, and that's a real injury.
What?
Yeah, so they couldn't make Bruce like rise to the surface. He was too heavy. They weren't expecting him to float just by being shot with barrels. So that was a part of the scene. But no one was expecting for him to go, "Here I am, world."
Wow, that's
yeah. So when he fell into his mouth, he fell for real.
I never knew that.
I never
freaking knew that. That's insane.
Isn't it though?
That's absolutely insane. What was it? What was the name of that? Django Unchained, with Leonardo DiCaprio. So there's a scene in Django where, of course, like Leo is like the worst slave owner ever, but like he was getting angry at the dinner table and he slammed his head on the table, but he kept acting. And so like I guess he had wrapped himself while he was like doing it in the middle of the scene. But then by the time he got close to Kerry Washington, like you see all the blood in his hands and he had actually cut himself. And now I don't think it was good for Kerry. I mean, she said she was cool with it because he was still rolling, but it was kind of like this man just smeared all this blood everywhere. He was just still in it. And I was like, you would never even know unless you actually did the behind the scenes and found out. But yeah, key little things like that are really important. But do you feel like with this show, the documentary itself, or just the behind the scenes on the 5th season was important? Or would you have preferred them go and do like documentary things for each season? Because I kind of wish they did that for season 4 and season 1, to be honest.
Now that I've gotten to see like just the set making and all of that, I do wish there was more behind the scenes footage. However, just like with the finale, I'm good with this. I feel like it was a great wrap up. Now, was it necessary? No. Is it a nice little added treat? Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, what we do know is that everyone on that set was just so into it. Like no one was willing to half-ass anything. And that is what makes a good story.
Yeah, I think I agree with you to the point that a lot of people's discourse that I've heard is that yes, they were tired, they checked out, but they just didn't care. Like they openly did this in spite and they just crapped on the people. And if you watch the documentary for real, you can tell how much it meant to these people, like how much they were like almost at times suffering over the reality of the situation. It's not even just them being tired. They legit were dealing with anxiety and concerns and constraints that I just did not anticipate to see. But I think it was a pleasant thing to actually witness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think it's just something cathartic about actually watching it from their vantage point, doing it versus everybody talking about it. Because, like, I'll give you a scene, right? You remember, like, the running scene of Max in season 4, like her getting out of the clutches of Vecna, making it out of her tunneling, right? When we watch season 5 and there's a scene with Holly and Max and they get there and they stop and they're talking and Max has the realization, crap, Holly does not have a way out. But she's got her gate and she doesn't run for it. And then, she tells Holly what it actually is, what's what. And it's not about the music, it's about something deeper than that. And then she gets her gate and then they kind of run. Like, from a technical standpoint, I was like upset watching it, not because they weren't running, not because of like how much long it took, because the lighting. Like the lighting of that scene versus the lighting of season 4, like it was dark in season 4. And it was just a whole bunch of vibrant light, and it just kind of looked off-putting. But when I watched the documentary for this, I was like, man, they put so much into this in a very short amount of time. And not that I'm saying that they just half did it, but I think I give the scene a little bit more grace, having watched what they had to go through in such a short amount of time. I think a lot of people's issue with comparing season 4 to season 5 is like they internalize it as written better for season 4. It looks better for season 4, but then like how is that possible with such a bigger budget? And I think this shows, without them throwing Netflix under the bus, like there's a lot of constraints that they had, a lot of anxieties and things and limitations that they had that you just don't really see. And they didn't even go into like the writer strike stuff like they could have. I was really surprised they didn't go that route. I'm still here. But any thoughts?
I do wish I could see a little bit more of the set build out, because that was so well done, and it really brings you back to how behind the scenes used to be, where it really was, for the most part, just built from the ground up. If you needed a house set, you either built the inside of the house or you were in a house. Like, they built a town, they built a laboratory, they built the mountains, like they built the inside of the mind flare. It was all real for the most part. And I think one of the biggest takeaways is there's no way not to be emotional about that, not to be physically, mentally, and emotionally involved in that situation, whether or not you are a viewer or a participant, because blood, sweat, and tears went into every aspect. These characters literally, like, they had actual coming of age moments throughout these 10 years. Like, Millie was a child, and now she is a mother with a husband and her own adopted child.
Right.
And we have characters who are directors. We have characters who are going to be in other franchises. Everybody adores Sadie Sink. Like, you know, they're adults now.
Yeah.
So for them to feel as they do about the ending of Stranger Things, it's understandable. And I think when you get to hear how they give their final statements at the end of the doc, should you choose to watch it, it is a beautiful tie-in. It's an amazing wrap-up. Like, it's good. That's just truly the end of it. It's good, and you're not going to feel as salty as you do, if you do feel salty, about the finale. Maybe it won't change your viewpoint of it, but it will bring you a sense of closure. And that is a point that Busy spoke on a bit.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. I'm glad you said that, because as much as people could have issue with the finale or the structure of season 5, that doesn't diminish the experience of getting from episode 1 to the last 15 minutes of this. And I think it's kind of hard and cloudy when you're have expectations they not met, you feel things are rushed, you feel like things are left out, you got a conformity agenda and theory going on, and you just don't know. But I think with this, you can feel how much all of them were connected to this and wanted this, and for better or for worse, made the choice of where this was supposed to go. And I did want to let you know, Siren, wasn't sure if you knew that there's actually a behind the scenes for the play too. It's available on Netflix. I hadn't finished it yet, but the play itself, they have the behind the scenes of it. I just wish they would do Hamilton style like Disney Plus did and just give us the play. Unless you guys are trying to actually make it in live format, I really wish they would just, for real, let us see it. I think I would really enjoy watching it, and I think it would probably help people too. Huh?
I have an idea. Okay, so we get a bunch of little stick figures and we act out what we think the play is like. And then we post that.
So wait, before we get to watch the play, you want to just like go and act this out? Okay, am I writing or are you writing?
I want to do the explosions.
Okay.
And I want to make the giant meat creatures.
Giant meat creatures? Are you talking about the Demogorgons?
Well, I'm pretty certain that the Mind Flayer is more than one piece, even though it does just have one heart. So,
Okay.
yes, I'm referring to it as a giant meat creature, or meat creatures, as it would be.
Okay. Sure. I'm down. I have enough in my head of how to write this that I think I can make it work. But we need voice
It's going to
acting.
be great.
Unless
Don't look at him like that. He was born to be a star.
Anywho, having gone over the documentary a couple different times, do I have issue with certain things that they did in the show? Yes. I really feel like it was a missed opportunity for them to have more Demogorgons in the very last episode. I think that was a drop. I think that was a bad choice. Could they have made or break having a mid-credit scene? But I do understand now that they were on the gun because logistically they had to get the series out before 2025. They had to get the last episode in the movie theaters. They had no script for it. Do I think, and this is something that we never talked about, do I think that the Duffer Brothers from episode 1 to 7 left clues, or even in episode 8, left small little clues hinting at Vecna being alive, or the possibility that there's something going on with Elle, or that there's more to come? I do. Because that's just the way their minds work. But that doesn't mean that this is going to continue with these characters. They've already expressed and they've already said, and it's already been confirmed because there's a trailer for it. There's an animated series that takes place between the third and the fourth series. There's going to be a spinoff series that they have not talked about what it actually is going to be, but it has nothing to do with our main characters, and it's a completely different generation. So there's more to come, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's with these characters. And I know that's sad because we want to see more. At the end of the day, I really want you guys to understand. I feel like some of you that are even watching this right now are sad that you won't be able to experience these characters anymore. That you can't, and they can't indulge the idea that this is it.
Scared me.
And unfortunately, it is. I don't know about a 9th episode or anything more, but I think what we got and with this documentary is enough. And that's me saying it, and you guys don't know, for the past 10 years, my ringtone is Stranger Things. Like, I have not changed my ringtone. It's always Stranger Things. It's always going to probably be Stranger Things. This is one of my favorite series. So I'm really happy that Siren and Busy were able to go with me on this journey. Of course, other friends and outlet members that have joined along the way, but this is very special to me. And I think if I hadn't have gotten this and the way that it ended, I may have felt a little differently, but I did. And I think that it's enough for me. Yeah. Siren, any closing thoughts? And I guess we got to rate this documentary too.
Yes. My closing thoughts are this brought back a lot of love for behind the scenes, for physical media as a whole, as we continue to move towards a very digitized space with our formats. We have to remember that there is nothing to be compared to live media. And Stranger Things, it keeping in theme with itself, it brought it back. So, welcome to the 80s.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, y'all need to give Sharon like some love, because if y'all understood like what she had to do to even catch up, because not only did she catch up, but she reviewed every single season with me. She caught up, and then she moved forward with going through season 5. And like, she's had a small margin of time to digest all this information, provide you guys with clear coverage and thoughts, and also emotionally think about it and feel it herself. So y'all, please give her some love. I have all her information in the description bar below, so you guys can go and follow her on TikTok. She's also going to be having a lot more things coming up really soon, and JVS is here to support her and whatever that looks like. But yeah, what was your rating for it? A to B, or sorry, A to F?
We're sticking with an A, boys. It was a great tie-in.
All right. Rating for me is A. I really enjoyed it. The only thing that I wish is that we got other seasons that had the same documentary style. Like, I would have loved for them to go back and did like something like this for each season. But yeah, you guys, that's it. There's no more. And for you guys that were worried, is there any clues to any other extra episodes? There's nothing. There's nothing in the documentary that lets us believe there's anything more. So if you've been watching for 51 minutes, I apologize. But hopefully, I mean, we should have told you that in the beginning. I apologize. But yeah, there's nothing more.
I mean, we did tell you in the conformity gate, we kind of told you immediately that there's not more. And it wasn't even just us. There's 100+ other channels parroting the same fact and also finding it ridiculous that y'all just really want somebody to die. Like,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's all you'd get. It wouldn't be this big battle scene. These characters, they're tired. Like, they have expended everything in the tank. This was literally their last hurrah. And
Yeah.
with what they had, they did well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go. Thank you guys so much for joining with us through this journey. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll try to play the intro or outro one more time. All right, guys.
Yeah.
I let the